What's up, YouTube? I'm Fitz and I'm ready to talk. Hold up, before we get to this video, can you guys please subscribe, like, and comment? I'm so excited for this journey, and I want you guys to see this journey with me. So go ahead and subscribe. I appreciate it. Come on, let's get into this video.
Oh, this is getting juicy.
What's up, YouTube? I'm Fitz and I'm ready to talk. Look, shout out to y'all. I almost got 100 views on my last video. I am ecstatic. I'm so thankful for you guys. I don't even know what to say. Just thank you. I appreciate it. I'm trying to get back on this train, so let's keep this motherfucker going. Go on this journey with me. But let's go and get to the video. So we're gonna jump into season 15, episode 2, Sisters Before Misters. Real Housewives of Atlanta, of course. So the episode opens up. We're left off last episode at Ross's birthday. We see Courtney and Candy literally getting into it. I'm gonna headbutt that bitch like I'm about to headbutt that bitch like she there, right? Courtney bobblehead is the whole situation. So of course, Sonya's kind of trying to just fuse the situation. She steps in. She kind of like, okay, Courtney, she's like, okay, Candy, calm down. And then of course she's trying to step in and kind of, Courtney, calm down. But we see Todd. Todd's there. Todd's like, okay, baby, I know who you are. Me and Candy are spirit animals. I understand her frustration. I completely understand her frustration. So, of course, we don't forget about the other set of drama in the other corner. We got Manetta, we got Kenya, we got Sheree over there. Sheree and Kenya's going back and forth there. She done showed Sheree, well, Kenya then tried to show Sheree her DMs and tried to, but there's nothing there, right? Like I said last episode, the damn DMs aren't there. So it's really nothing you can show, but she's kind of just telling her like, hey girl, like he did slide my DMs. And then we get this from Sheree. Now, if you're in a relationship, any relationship, marriage, dating, fucking, if your partner goes, you know what that means. Bring your ass over. Because either you gonna have to fight somebody else or it's a situation going on. So you bring your ass. So Martell, of course, goes on over. Then, of course, Sheree explains what's going on. Kenya saying you slid her DMs. State your piece, right? Martell is very much. The thing about it is that if you watch if you watch Love and Marriage Huntsville, you know how Martell is. He's very trigger. Like he can get trigger fast. Like it doesn't take much. It's like he'll try and then pop goes to because we say pop. Him and Candy have something in common. But we see more of Martell ass on Love and Marriage Huntsville. So he's like, no, he's like, what are you talking about? First he tries to deny it. He's gonna like, what the fuck? Like, no, I'm not in your DMs. What are you talking about? I think he even threw a little jab at her saying, well, you accept, a lot of men DMs. Like, I'm sure you accept everybody's DMs that's lying to your DMs. Like, whatever. Like, she tried to do a little jab and she's like, what? And, then eventually it turns into a curse word was thrown at Kenya. And I'm like, Martell, Kenya don't give a fuck. But Kenya is a villain. She don't mind being a villain. So she's about to let you have it. She's like, you better watch how you talk to a black queen. I'm just like, oh shit. She getting into his ass. She don't care. They going back and forth, whatever. So that happens. Then we kind of bounce back to Candy, and Candy is still hot. Candy's upset about what happened, what's going on. And that's just the situation. So her and I think actually Sonya went to go change. And then somehow they get into like a kind of separate area to where Sonya and Candy, kind of speaks, and she's like, I'm just very hot. Like she just came, she bobbling and shit like that. We see Dawan, and Dawan's like, whoa, I know my friend. Like I saw her, my friend / boss. I saw her starting to say, about to go off. I think he said Canyetta or some shit about to come out. Like he's like, she about to come out. So he knew he had to kind of help diffuse, calm her on down. But she said, bring it down. Like you already know, I can't get it. Candy, Candy will go there with you. So she's kind of just explaining that situation's happening. And then finally we do see a scene to where all the ladies are inside of like a separate area with Candy. It's Candy, Manetta, Kenya, Sheree, Martell shows up there. He's there with them as well. And same in the party. We're still in the party. We haven't left the party yet. Everybody's at the party. But all this is going on at somebody's birthday party. Like, this is just the craziest shit. Like, I'm just like, y'all are doing the most. But they're in this little area. At least they're not on the dance floor like Candy and Courtney, near wherever the dance floor was, where a bunch of people were. They were at least in a different area. So they're kind of just, going back and forth. Martell and Kenya's still going back and forth. It's just a big ass situation. And at some point, Martell shows his DMs, and like, you know, there is DM from 2020, but we already know from Kenya's phone, nigga, you deleted it. We already saw it being deleted, so you don't have to try to sit or lie. But he's kind of smart guy, right? Like he's like literally like he literally made sure he deleted everything for he got with Sheree, and, you know, make sure he just kept whatever was a little friendly message. It wasn't something that was incriminating. It didn't look like he was trying to get it, you know, get with her. But like I said, what straight nigga ain't gonna try to get holla at Kenya? Like, nigga, Kenya is a bad. Like, I'm sorry, Kenya is bad. So I would not be shocked if you try to slide into the DMs. Like, we see what's up. So that happens, whatever. So then eventually, they show Science kind of like, this is my husband's birthday, I got time, I'm out, deuces. So she go back to the party, and then they show the party ending. They show everybody leaving. They show Martell and Sheree gets into the car. Of course, Martell says he feel like he was kind of, you know, blindsided, ganged up on, however he worded, you know, he felt like that was kind of like the goal of the evening for them to bring up that conversation about him sliding to Kenya's DM. And I'm like, bro, you know how reality TV works. Like, if you ever slid into any of those women's DM, it was going to get back to Sheree. So that way it can be good television, right? So it's okay, brother. Chill. So that happened. So then we go ahead and, I did want to drop this in really quick. We did say Marlo. I don't want to forget about Marlo, because Marlo, last season, you had me like, girl, the fuck's wrong with you? But she was just minding her own business at the party. She was playing craps. Like she was trying to get a new Birkin. She was chilling. So I appreciate that. Like, you know, Marlo usually be the one right in the center of the drama, but she literally was like, I'm not in this. And I love it. Like, if you could just stay to yourself, you don't always have to be in it. Like, that makes you relatable, right? Like, if you're always the villain, if you're always the bad guy, and Marlo is a person that fights ruthless. Like, at least Kenya's a villain that's a smart villain, right? Marlo is a villain that just gutter snipe. You know, shout out to Yala. Like, literally, she will just say any fucking thing. She don't give a fuck. There's nothing off limits. She will say anything about you, and she does not care, right? So that I'm happy this season, at least as a first episode, Marlo hasn't gone there yet. So that good for Marlo. She gets a A for effort. So we go ahead and see that. That happens, you know, like I said, Martell and Sheree have their conversation in the car. That happens. So then we're going to move on to, I'm forgetting more shit. I do want to say this, because this does come back in a later episode, and this is something where I'm like, Kenya, you are wrong. Kenya calls Martell aggressive during her confessional, and she also, you know, later in the episode, she will bring it up and says the word, or said, you know, she says aggressive, and I'm just like, you gotta be careful with that word, because it is something that as a black man, being labeled as aggressive can be a problem. Just like as a black woman, I'm sure for you, black women, being labeled as an angry black woman is not a good thing, right? Like, although we all know that we're all strong people, right? We have to be that way. We have to have a certain we have to have tough skin, right? We have to have something, and it's unfortunate we do, but we can't walk in this world just all nilly-willy, right? We have to kind of have some type of boundary there set, so the person's fucking crosses that boundary, we got to put them in their place. It just is what it is, because our ancestors have fought for that, unfortunately, and we still deal with things from there now. So she has to be careful with that aggressive word. That aggressive word, Kenya, you got to be careful. I know Martell can be an asshole, but I don't think in that scene he was being aggressive. I didn't get that from him going back and forth with her. Yeah, he cussed at her. Yeah, he did say, pretty much call her her hoe, right? Because he did say, you know, I'm sure you open up anybody DMs, all men DMs. Yeah, he did say that. But at the end of the day, it's like, he wasn't in your face. He wasn't like, fuck you. He wasn't like he wasn't showing you, I'm a man, you better back down. Like, he wasn't. We've seen him be aggressive in Love and Marriage Huntsville. We know what that looks like. We see him, the way he interacts with a man versus a woman, and it was two different worlds. He definitely did not cross that line. I feel like when a man's being aggressive, if I'm aggressive, if you want to label me as an aggressive black man, you need to say that I dealt with a woman. I deal with anybody the same. I need to deal with the way I would deal with a woman and the way I would deal with a man would be the same. They didn't call me aggressive, but I didn't see that from Martell. I think Martell was very an asshole and a jerk, but not aggressive. So that I just wanted to add that in there, because it does come back up in the episode, and Kenya does mention it again. So we go ahead and jump into Drew's house, and we do see her. We first see Ralph and their daughter getting a bouquet together for Drew. Apparently, she's coming home from Chicago. She went out there to go visit her dad, unfortunately, who has Alzheimer's, which is so sad. My heart goes out to her and to them. I can only imagine, and to him as well. I can only imagine that, like, somebody that you kind of just watch them kind of fade, right? Like you kind of just watch them not even know who you are, and that has to be tough as somebody's child experiencing that. Anybody that has had contact with somebody like that. I actually have somebody in my life that's dealing with that, and I have refused to go see her because I just could not imagine, seeing somebody that I spent so much time with that was like a very close loved one to me, in my adolescent years, go and see her and she wouldn't even recognize who I am, right? So that is something that my heart goes off to her and her family. Like, that's horrible. But she does reveal that she has a new single out. She went ahead and played it for her dad. She said that's the one time when she was shocked that her dad kind of like remember who she was. They show a little clip and he's like, the mom's like, she's singing, huh? And he's like, yeah, like he kind of remembers that that's his baby, right? So that was great. The single is called You Already Know. And that No 112, that's just her. Great. I guess Ralph produced it. Who knew he was a producer? I didn't know. So that's great. It sounded cool. The little clip they played was cool. So Ralph is just talking to Drew about the party. He does let her know that Candy and Courtney gets into it. And then a big shocking moment is that Courtney and Ralph are cousins. They found out they're cousins at the party. So that's cool, at Ross's party. So that's cool. You got a family member on the show now. So we'll see how that happens. So they're gonna alliance. We'll see. We're gonna see how this all works out. Because we know in the blogs that Drew and Ralph are getting divorced. So that's this is pre-divorce. So or pre-divorce signing or filing. So this should be interesting. We're gonna see how this all work out. So then next scene, they jump into Sanya and Candy having dinner. Candy pretty much just first they saw small talk. You know how that go, small talk with friends. How you doing? How's everything? Sanya talks about, wanting a baby number 2. She kind of just talks about all that. Candy goes ahead and talks about Todd's situation, how, Todd is pretty much saying she's not supportive and he just wants to kind of do a lot of stuff. And she's like, can we focus on one thing at a time? Like, she's feeling that way. But then finally, Candy's just kind of like, so Courtney, how do you know do you know her? She's at the party. How do you know her? And Sanya's kind of like, oh yeah, Sheree introduced me to her, and her Marlo and Sheree was at when they were at the last episodes working out at Sheree's house, and then Courtney showed up without Marlo. Marlo wasn't there actually, so it was just Sheree and Courtney and Sanya. So they're all talking or whatever, and how that whole reveal happened, right? Like when they were having their little chit chat. So Candy's kind of like, okay, you didn't think to tell me? Like, you didn't think so? What was you saying? What did you have to say? And Sanya slips up and brings in something that didn't even show on the damn episode. She says that Courtney said that there was some type of lounge or restaurant that when Candy posted that first Courtney used to go there, and then when Candy finally posted on her story or page, it brought the ghetto in. So Sanya kind of took it as Courtney kind of saying that Candy is ghetto, right? Like, oh, you're ghetto, right? But then when Candy was like, well, what did you say? Like, did you got my back? Like, what the fuck? And Sanya was like, yeah, I kind of didn't. Sanya didn't, baby, you didn't have her back. You kind of just sat there and kind of laughed, and I understand at the end of the day you're filming with, you're in a tough place, right? So you're just trying to just saving face. You ain't trying to just get involved in stuff, going hard, you know what I'm saying? And realistically, I think that Candy have to give her just a little bit of grace, because Candy is a vet in this game. Sanya's not. So when things like that happen, Sanya's probably going to react the way that she would normally react, instead of thinking, hey, I'm on a show, so this is going to come up, so I better stand up for the person that I actually am cool with, right? Like, you need to say, no, Candy's not like that. Like, ride for Candy, because Candy is a person that you really are, like, guys have been on family vacation. They talked about that at their dinner. Like, they've been on family vacations. They've hung out outside the show, so you guys actually have a genuine friendship. So you should have stepped in and said, nah, Candy ain't like that. But she's learning. She's gonna hang at the game. But I am somebody that's like Candy, to where if you're gonna have anybody around me and they have talked shit about me, or I have a problem with them, please let me know ahead of time before I get to the event. Because if I do, I'm gonna have a problem with that. I'm not okay. I don't like that. I don't like being in a place to where I'm being blindsided. If I just need to know, and that's just how I am. So I understood Candy being like, well, what'd you say? And then she turned into, well, girl, you had her there. You didn't say shit to me. Like, so it's one of those things. You knew ahead of time she felt, but you didn't tell me, hey, Courtney, I told this girl named Courtney, she brought you up. It wasn't in a good light. So just letting you know she will be at Ross's party. That's all somebody needs. And then that way Candy can play according. Like she'll know how to kind of move around, you know what I'm saying? She probably just stayed away from Courtney, you know what I'm saying? And then she would know when Courtney stepped to her, what you about to bring to the fucking table, you know what I'm saying? So that was their conversation. They kind of just laughed it off, Candy just kind of let it be what it was. She just moved on. They moved to the next scene and just what it was. So they move on to Candy and Todd's scene. They meet up at Blaze. They're about to try new food or new entrees for Blaze because Candy talked about how when COVID hit, things did slow down. So they want to kind of revamp their menu. Great idea. So they go to revamp it. Then walks in Melvin, which is her cousin. Melvin walks in, and we see his arms in a sling. And I'm thinking in my head, like, are you guys gonna talk about the shooting right there or no? And then sure enough, as soon as I thought that, because if you guys don't know, in the blogs they talked about, in the news, I'm sure too, because it was criminal. Her cousin got shot at her restaurant. He's the head chef at Blaze, and he was shot. So unfortunate, that he was, but thank God he lived. Thank God it was no lives, taken. So that happened. So producer stepped in and was like, "We're gonna talk about the elephant in the room." And I was like, "Good question. Let's talk about the elephant." Didn't have any. Candy was like, "No, we're not." And Todd was like, "It's still legal, so we're not gonna bring this up. We're not gonna talk about it." And so they kind of just shut down. However, of course, leaving it up to the housewives. All the housewives and their damn professionals talked about it. So, they showed all the blogs about, what happened, and the housewives just kind of pretty much just said like it was sad, but Sheree tried to be cute and say, when we go to OLG, we don't know if it's going to be, biscuits or bullets, which I'm like, girl, it was her cousin. That's not funny. Like if Candy wants to get at you at the reunion because of that statement, she'll be right for that. Like at the end of the day, good standing, sweetie. Go ahead and let Sheree have it, Candy, at the reunion. So that happened or whatever. So, they shut down, but Candy does finally talk about it. Candy talks about her confession. She says that employee came in intoxicated and Melvin tried to defuse the situation, and then they ended up going outside and the employee shot him. But she said that she's thankful that the business hasn't slowed down. People are still supporting them, and she's thankful for that, which is great because we know that some places wouldn't be able to survive. Some places, we know, like when somebody gets shot at a place, at least I wouldn't be visiting. So thank God that people are still, they realize it's an isolated situation, and that it's not something that's going to be a recurring thing, hopefully, like in Atlanta. And she did say Atlanta violence levels are just raising, and we see that on blogs all the time. Something's happening in Atlanta, like always somebody getting robbed, killed, like we're seeing that. So that's just a thing in Atlanta right now. So it just is what it is. It's not just happening at her restaurant, it's happening everywhere. So that's just she kind of made that clear. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next scene. The next scene was Kenya Mina with, I think her name was Akila. I think her name was Akila. Her and her, Kenya and her daughter, and Akila and her daughter meet up at a tennis little area to play tennis. I don't know what you call that, what area, ring or tennis court is what it's called. So they meet up at a tennis court, but it's an indoor one. So it's pretty cool. They, the girls are supposedly best friends. Kenya does say that. Keela is actually married to Telvin Coleman. He plays for the 49ers. So, he's an FL. So, cool. That's what's up. So they just kind of talk and chit chat. Kenya does say she's kind of envious of, Telvin's and Akila's marriage. She's kind of just really like, damn, she wants that for herself. So get it, that can happen, right? Like you can kind of look at somebody else's relationship and be like, damn, I wish I had that. But also remember, you don't know what happened behind closed doors. So you gotta take that with a grain of salt. So yeah, she says that, and they kind of just bring that to the close. She talks about her the dude she's dating, whatever, how happy she is. So that scene, and it was just kind of popping. This episode was very choppy of popping in and out of everybody's kind of storyline. So it's kind of like it's moving all over the place. So then we go into Sheree's warehouse where she bought Sheree's being manufactured and distributed. So that's pretty cool. She didn't notice that everything was wrinkled, which is horrible. Like, ma'am. If I get some items, if I order something offline and it comes to me wrinkled, I'm gonna be pretty like, I will never order from that again because it shouldn't be that way. I should be the one that's making it wrinkled. If anybody's gonna make it wrinkled, it should come to me to where I can literally put it on when I'm ready to put it on, right? It shouldn't be like I gotta iron it first. No. It needs to be like a department store. If I go to the department store, I'm not gonna get something on the rack that's wrinkled. So all right, so it's just God bless you by Sheree. So then Kenya shows up. Of course, Kenya, they do their hi, good, hey girl, whatever, they kind of just chop it up, and Kenya drops what they start talking about Martell, and then Kenya drops the aggression behind him again about Martell. And I'm just like, and Sheree does say in her confessional, like, she has to stop saying that because she said that about Ross last season, that Ross was being, aggressive because he stood for his wife. In which that scenario, he wasn't aggressive either. So you have to kind of just watch what you have going on. Now, Sheree, Kenya did have a win in this conversation about Bob. She kind of told her like, hey, you got to watch how a man, acts, because that's how he's going to be in a relationship pretty much. Like you have Bob who showed you who he was before your relationship happened, right? What Maya Angelou says, when somebody show you who they are, believe them. So that's kind of what she's saying, which is 100% because and that's not as far as what Kenya and Martell, that situation, but if we're talking about Martell and his ex-wife, in that situation, that nigga was out of pocket 110% on fucking television, dogging his wife. So why would you get with somebody that dogged their wives on television, on a platform similar to yours? What makes you any different? He has kids with this woman, and he clearly did not give any fucks about that, their union or their children, in order to do her the way he did her, right? So I will give Kenya that. That was a definite win. Like, girl, you had a point. So they kind of just, talk about that. And they kind of just disagree on the situation. There's really not much to say. Like, Kenya had DM, can't prove, but we did see it on film. So reunion, that would be hashed. Sheree, you're going to continue to date this man who you're obsessed with his body and his dingling. So it is what it is. So y'all won't meet in the middle at all. So just agree, disagree, and let's move on. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much how the episode ended. Kind of whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, Sheree and Kenya, their little argument, I guess, is squashed for now. But next episode seems like it's going to be kind of juicy. We see Candy talking about Mama Joyce and how she treats Todd. Because Mama Joyce still saying Todd ain't good enough for Candy. So we're gonna see how this goes. Them people have been married for years. It may be a decade at this point. So it's like, okay, how much longer do you want him to prove that he's not with your daughter for money? He literally has made his own way. So it literally has put more money in your daughter's pocket. So what is it gonna take? What you need to see, what you want, a divorce for you to see that in him still to be successful, without her? Like, do you need that? Like, I don't know, but we're gonna see. But all right, y'all. That's my review. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know it was kind of everywhere, but that's how this episode was. This episode was kind of every fucking where. So I was just trying to just get the notes and get the key points, as they come. So I appreciate it, y'all. All right. See y'all soon.